of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and that you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor. That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, and there should not be any separation between you and us. May it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken and prepare our hearts to love and revere you, and may you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden study of your Torah. May our study be pleasant before your place of honor as aroma of sweet incense, and may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being, and may the sparks of your holy servants, through which you revealed your wisdom to the world, shine. Remember that term, holy servants. And may their merit, and the merit of their fathers, and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit, enlighten our eyes and our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I will see wonders from your Torah, because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
All righty. Today...
Is Travis online?
Yeah. Today, Torah from Texas. I'm staying with our Nachash theme. Okay?
Nachash.
Staying in the Nachash theme. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to present it, because there's a lot going on. But I'm going to actually try to go through my notes backwards. And so the stuff I studied on Monday and went through on Monday, and the stuff I studied went on Tuesday, the things that I got to at the end of Tuesday, really, I need to work backwards. So I guess we're going to elevate it the other way.
We're going to pull a Simpson.
We're going to pull a Simpson here. Several things that are bouncing around out are the whole argument of Noahide and Ger, just the basic pshat of it. The whole thing of slave versus servant, basically. That's why I said when I read the prayer of the Ari that we're the servants. And then the whole thing of to do Torah or not to do Torah. You know, if you can or you cannot, or if you just do the 7, if you do this and do that. All these different, everybody's got their halakha, everybody's got this, and everybody has that, and, you know, this rabbi writes this, and this rabbi writes that. Beautiful. In this class, we want to understand one thing. 3D does not exist from Adam's point of view, from Och's point of view, from Arik's point of view, from the Ein Sof's point of view. It is a simulation. So if it is a simulation, and it is stuck in Klippa, then there are going to be things that are said that only apply to that. It doesn't apply if you're in Yetzirah. It doesn't apply if you're in Berea. It doesn't apply if you're in Atzilut. So, the nature of this class is we don't like to look at the Etzadat's Torah. We like to look at the Etzhaim. What does it look like when it's in unity? What is it in unity? If I just look at a battery and I had 2 poles of the battery, and I just look at this pole and I'm just concerned about this pole. This is a positive pole. There isn't such thing as a negative pole. It's just a positive pole. You're right. There's just a positive pole right here. Somebody else comes along and says, no, there's just a negative pole. What you're doing at that point is you are looking at the branches and the bifurcation of the Etzadat Torah, and you have just ate the fruit. You're stuck. You cannot move. You cannot go anywhere. If you look at the whole thing, now you have Hashmal. You see? Now you can move. You're not concretized. I just spit everywhere. You know? You're not concretized. All right? So this class is about expanding your mind, elevating your mind. All right. The other thing is we have to deal with the convert. Oh, well, this is a convert and that's a convert. What is a convert? What is a convert relative to? All right. I'm going to read a section out of the Zohar when we get done about what happens to a convert when you die. Now, they say, oh, well, Jethro converted. Did he go through the whole circumcision thing? Okay. Oh, uncle, he converted. Oh, Job, he converted. They converted. All right. Well, what does that mean? Because in this class, when you're dealing with the 3 C's, you're dealing with the Acht, right? Mm-hmm. Right? And basically we're going to say Teferet and Malchut, or Yesod. You're dealing with the center column. The center column, you have thesis, antithesis, balance, synthesis. Okay? Now, we know in the garden we had thesis, antithesis, and it was actually the Nachash that's bringing the balance back together. But when it hits the bifurcation, it's unholy. As long as it stays in the unique singularity, Nachash is holy in and of itself. Now, we're going to work that off of all these different things, whether you can, whether you can't, whether you're this, whether you're that, whether you're a slave, whether you're free, whatever. In this class, if you use the word servant, you are a type of Metatron. You are a measuring stick. You are the thing that is measuring. You are the thing that is being measured. You are all that. All right? You are how God is measuring it. That's how He's doing it. All right? So, we have to look at the signs of the times. We are the agents. And we have to see what's going on. The piece we're going to look at is, had Adam not failed, had he not ate, and all the different things, all right, the Nachash would have been his servant. And the Nachash would have gone through all the worlds from the east to the west and gathered gold and precious jewels and everything and brought them to Adam. Okay? Now, what is that in the Peshat? Adam is in the center. The Or Pinimi. Adam and Hava. When we say Adam, it's Adam and Hava. And the Nachash, the two-tailed Leviathan, the two-tailed Ouroboros, has got them encompassed, right? That's the cerebral thought that migrates out, and it splits and then it comes back in. He and his name are one, right? So, if you're dealing with Guvarot is curved light. What are jewels? And what is gold? Gold is Guvarot. Jewels are also Guvarot. A diamond is compressed, pressurized, coagulated carbon. So let's look at what it's saying, and then let's look at the math. Let's look at the science. All right. So it's bringing all the Guvarot back to Adam. It's making a torus. That's what it's explaining to us. Why does it say east and west? All the way from Teferet to Malchut. Right? If it's Da'at, it contains Teferet, Yesod, Malchut. So of course, it's going to encompass everything. Now, here's the secret. If that was God's original plan, still is. It's never changed. It has never, his plan has never changed. We have a story of Esau and Jacob, the twin messiahs. This is the twin messiahs I'm talking about. Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David. Trey Meshihim. Right? What was really supposed to be their function? Jacob was supposed to sit in the tent and learn Torah. Esau was supposed to protect him, be his boundary, be his guard, and do the job of going and gathering, hunting and gathering. Right? That was supposed to be. But what happens? The head down, the body of Esau is contaminated. Right? Now, we're going to move through it in a serpentine structure all the way through this till we get it figured out. So, if that's the real plan, it's still the real plan. Now, Russell and I, 3 or 4 years ago, wrote a huge paper on the redemption of the head of Esau, and I never finished. We finished it to what the knowledge we had then, but I've got it complete now.
No, you don't.
I've got it complete up until what I know now.
That's what he said about 20 times.
Yeah, I know. So, what happens is once you get to the bifurcation, and once you're in the Etzadat Torah, if you do not change your thinking, you will not ever get it. Matter of fact, you are delaying Messiah so long. What happened? If Judah would have just recognized Joseph, if Messiah ben David just recognizes this, we got a huge problem. We got a huge problem in groups of Torah out there right now, right? One Torah says, okay, Rebbe, Messiah ben David, right? The other Torah says, oh, you can't say that. Well, positive polarity. The other one, it contradicts the Gaon. The Gaon, no, you don't do that. The Gaon says, no, it's dealing with the Simsun. For one group, it's metaphoric. He expanded, and then he contracted, and then he went back in. In one group, it's metaphoric. Another group says, oh no, that's literal. That's really what it's doing. You know what it is? The Rebbe is Messiah ben David. The Gaon is Messiah ben Joseph. If you're looking at if this is Hasidim and this is Guvarot, it's bifurcating. If you're looking at this pole and you just make a stand, you're going to be the Rebbe on that side of the fence. If you're over here and oh no, it's the Gaon. No, it's the Gaon, man. Well, you're going to be Messiah ben Joseph aspect. Get out of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Get into the tree of life. Get in the Etz Chaim. See the other one for what it is. That's bringing it back to its singularity. 999. We got to be the agents. What does the Kol HaTor say? The Kol HaTor says there's signs, times, and agents. The agent is 999. He sees the signs. He's able to step back and say, no, I look from 4D. I don't play in 3D. I look from 4D and I see Rebbe and I see the Gaon of Vilna. Boom. Messiah. That's the stimulation. That's bringing it back to a singularity. That's taking it back to the Etz Chaim. That's taking all the klipa off of it. When the agent sees the sign, the time jumps. It's a jump in time. Right? It makes a quantum leap. This is how the sine wave moves. So what I did is I drew a sine wave. Okay? So, Brandon, you hold this right here. All right. So, singularity, bifurcation, singularity, bifurcation, singularity, bifurcation, singularity. Singularity, bifurcation, singularity, bifurcation. Boom, 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 boom. What is that? It's a Mobius strip. It's so basic. Here's the problem. You can't see the tree for the branches. You know the old story, you can't see the forest from the trees? That's not the problem in the Torah world. The problem in the Torah world is they can't see the tree for the branches. Forget the forest. Right? That's our problem in Torah. Oh, the Noahides, you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't do this. Seven. You got to stay in the seven. Let me tell you what. The gematria of Keter is 620. That's 613 plus 7. You want to split Keter? Keep on. You think you're speeding up the return of Mashiach? Keep on. If you want Goy slave, Ger slave, stay in 3D. I don't need you. Because when that synthesis, you got Jew, Goy, and in the middle you got Ger. We're going to call it Noga. You got Noga. Noga can oscillate. Mm-hmm. Who does Abraham send to go get the most precious Guvarot of all? Eleazar. Goes and gets Rachel and Leah. That was his job. You think he did it grudgingly because he had to? He was Abraham's servant. He was his Metatron. Because Abraham is Adam. When the Jew decides he's going to be Adam, he will merit his servant. We didn't come out of this on our own. We didn't pull ourselves out. Some Jew decided to become Adam, pulled our butts out of the klipa. When Adam is restored, the Nachash is going to be his servant, not his slave. Slave is 3D klipa. That's bifurcation. That's not Etz Chaim. If it's in the beginning, it's going to go back to the beginning. It's going to be a singularity. It's going to be the thing. What does the Noga do? We've said this for years. The Noga makes space for the Jew. Right? Okay? So, the word, you have the Tzaddik, the Jew, and then you have Yovan. Remember when we studied about Yovan, which was one of the sons of Japheth, of Adam. Of Noah. So it's spelled Yud, Vav, Nun. So if you look at it, it starts out the Yud. But if you make a little bit more of a elongated Yud, it's a Vav. And if you elongate that Vav a little bit more, it's a Nun. The Nun is a Nachash. It's also Yesod energy. It's also the word for Greek. Greek. What is Greek? The 7 sciences. What is Messiah ben Joseph? The 7 sciences. Who has all the 7 sciences? Esau. Messiah ben Joseph. Now, as it extends down, it gets caught in the klipa, the bifurcation. Right? What happens when it gets caught in the bifurcation? We have duality. We have the separation of the 7 sciences from Torah. But when you have the Kabbalah, which is the science of truth, the 7 sciences plus Torah, That's like saying the Noahides plus the Jews, or the 7 plus the 613. You say, oh, well, those 7 laws, those are this. Okay, well then do away with the rabbinic laws. There's nowhere it says you're supposed to light candles on the Sabbath. We do it. The Jews do it. I mean, from Jewish point of view. What about Hanukkah and Purim? Those are 7. Those are rabbinic. But we do them. Well, we need a ger to go out there and a slave to go out there and get this or get that. You know what the ger is doing on Sabbath? He's doing Shabbat with the Jew. He's not going to get nothing. So yeah, if it's a goy that doesn't apply to me because I'm Noga. Now, there's 2 sides of Noga. All right? There's the side that's connected to the light, and there's the side over here. That's why Eleazar can oscillate between himself and Og. When he's Og, he's fallen dimensionality. He's fallen dimensionality. He's Klippa. He's slave. But not when he's Eleazar, he's not. He's servant. There's a difference. That's Metatronics. That's the whole spinergy of Da'at of Adam. All right? He carried Abraham's name as if Abraham himself went. And everybody treated him as such along the way. There was no distinction. Right? That, that's where we all have to get to for Mashiach. Every single one of us. And so we have to see it for what it is. The Gaon of Vilna says in Song of Songs, the Kol HaTor, the blossoms are seen in the land, Malchut, the land, earth, right? Mm-hmm. The time of the pruning has come, and the call of the turtle dove is heard in the land. It says land twice. The turtle doves are the agents. The time is the times, and the blossoms are the signs. Now, we need to pull our heads out and look at the signs that are going on. And if you're caught in one of these things or the other, you are holding back all tikkun and all elevation. You're doing more harm than good. It's absolutely doing destruction. So, what I want to do is one of the signs. I'll give you an example of what I consider a sign. Facebook, right? Moses is called Metatron's called the Sar HaPanim, right? Mm-hmm. The minister of the faces. All right? A sefer is a book. So this is now Sefer Panim, the book of the faces. Right? We have just inverted Facebook. We've just changed it from a social media to a place to elevate Torah. Use it as a Metatron. When you take a ger, when a Jew takes a ger and uses him as a Metatron, he's more than willing to do whatever you need to do. I went on the Temple Mount not because my rabbi told me to, but because I was his Metatron. I got up there. They didn't give me any slack because I looked like I was on a mission. They didn't know what to do with me. I'm talking about the Arabs. They had no idea what to do with me. All right? I get up on the Temple Mount. I call my rabbi on the phone. You know what that means? He's on the Temple Mount. And we sit there and we meditated and prayed right on the Temple Mount, right underneath their noses. Because that's what Metatrons can do. That's how you have to think. This is what the Nachash is intended to do. When the Nachash falls out, that's the body, right? Atzilut's the head. When it falls out, what is that? That's Esau. The Nachash's name is Esau. Really. It's going to get cut off. What is redeemed from Nachash? The head. Right? Now it all makes sense. What happens to his head? His head rolls into the lap, into the yesod of Yitzhak. Guver wrote, of course. Perfect place for it. It's two-tailed Leviathanic energy. It's Guver wrote by nature. That is his head. So, of course, the head of Esau is going to be redeemed. It's totally servant to Jacob. Not slave. It's his brother. Right? That is Da'at consciousness. It's converted. What do you mean it's converted? Because the body is cut off. It's a Brit. Not only, it's not just Yesod Brit, it's complete body Brit. So what is a convert? Is a convert somebody who goes through circumcision? Not in this class. In this class, a convert is somebody that gets Da'at consciousness. Circumcision of the mind. And circumcision of the heart. And God says, I'm going to put my laws in your heart and in your mind. Because He's talking on a higher level. He's talking to Israel. Right? Israel. It's global. Right? He's not talking to Jacob. And He's not talking to Judah. He's talking to the elevated state of all of Israel. There is no more Yesod. It's all Teferet. It's all up. All right? So, a convert, if you have the Da'at consciousness, if you're looking at the world in 4D, it's always the 3 C's like we talk about here. Because Da'at is connected to Yesod. Anybody that knows anything about Kabbalah, you can't argue that one. So, if you circumcise it here, you've circumcised it here, and you've circumcised it here. That's how you get rid of Klippa. We got to go back. Let's go back to the Etz Chaim. Quit looking at duality. You know, this is a huge problem. And this group will argue about, that group will argue about, this group will argue about it. All it is the ooze and the sludge of the world. It's Azan Azazel. All right? What is the ooze and the sludge of the world? It's oil. What is the world fighting over right now? The whole world is fighting over oil. That's because that is the ooze of Azan Azazel. That is coagulated Guverot at its core. That's what it's all about. Those are the signs, ladies and gentlemen. If they could just see the signs, the time would jump. They're too stupid to even recognize it. So, most of them never want to deal with it. There is no such thing as the Jewish people. There's only the twin messiahs. They need to get it. We need to get it. The two prongs are coming from one singularity. This is what's making duality. If you don't get the dance of Hasidim and Guverot, you'll never get it. You'll get stuck. You'll never get it. The polarity is only a singularity. He and his name are one. We got to get it back there. They're stuck in the tree of duality, and it keeps manifesting. They're not in the tree of life. The last place that you would think that all the answers to most of the hardest kashas in Torah are right here in this conversation with the Nachash. It's the key. It's the key to it all. It's the secret of the matter of the whole thing. And learning how to think. And we have new scientific models, and we are learning how to use them. So, the Chamat Ha'emet, the science of truth. The great sages were masters of the ability to quantify the dimensionality that we now can use. Now, we can quantify dimensionality. Now we can pull up on YouTube and see it. We can see the Earth flying this way and all the planets circling around in a toroidal form. We can see the Mandelbrot set. Look at that science. And we can now see how God thinks and functions. We can see how He thinks. All right? And we can see that in every single iteration of Torah is the same story. It's a never-changing story. And if you notice, the story never ends. It just starts. And Abraham. Right? It starts in the beginning, but after that, and this, and that. And it just stops, and it just picks up. There's no end. Why? Because He hasn't got it yet. The Malchut's not there yet. It's getting to it. It's getting to that point. So, it all starts from the whole episode of Atik, looking down to see how much coagulation had took place. This is the boiling point. This is what's happening on the earth. It's getting to be there's a boiling point here. Everything is spilling over. When that happens, it shuts it off. It builds up its protection, its membranes, right? It says, oh, it's too much. Then it closes all the gates. Every time this happens in Torah, then the wrath of God. The wrath of God. You see what I'm saying? And the wrath of God. The judgment of God. Well, that's coming. All right? The wrath of God is the Guvarot spilling over. He mitigates it with the tzaddik. Every time. That's what He's doing. So, let me see where I want to go next. So, what we're going to do, I'll finish this section. So we have 7 rabbinic laws, or 7 Noahide laws. We have 7 oceans. We have 7 days of the week. We have 7 continents. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So we're going to say, oh, this 7 doesn't apply. The fact of the matter is, everything is a B'nai Noach. Even the dadgum rocks. Literally. Ham is a B'nai Noach. He's a son of Noah. Right? Is he contaminated? To the max. To the max. B'nai Noach. So, don't throw that B'nai Noach on me. It doesn't apply to me. I've elevated out of that. Right? So, it comes a point to where you are looking from and where your mind is. Are you looking at it over here? Are you looking at it from 5D, 4D? Or are you looking at it from Adam's point of view? Or are you looking at it in a Sia? This way. Not up and down, or are you looking at it across? Oh, well, this is this and this is this. This and that. This and that. This and that don't get it. This and that keeps it in the klipa and you. That's the bottom line. The Noahide to the Jew is the same thing as Metatron is to Adam. The same thing that Holy Nachash is to Adam. The same thing as Sandalphon to Metatron. Eleazar is Sandalphon. relative to Abraham, who's Metatron. We have a new term, we're going to call it spinergy, like a spine, energy, spinergy. And the female counterpart is called gynergy. That gives you a really good contextual thing. This is Hoog, spinergy and gynergy, right? So, this spinergy is the power of the supernal serpent. It is ultimately Da'at. All right? It is the thing that is encompassing the positive and negative, the dance. It's the synergy, right? We discussed that. So, what happens is, when it gets to the lip, to the bottom, you know, you've studied science about invertebrates. You know, they don't have vertebrae. For a play on words, it's inverted. And we kind of got a new term, invertebrate. You know, it's not a vertebrate, it's an invertebrate, but it's prolapsed, so it's inverted. So take those two words together. Now it'll give you, this is the whole lip of everything that's going on. A lot of spineless people, right? So once you take this holy head of Esau, this holy Nachash, and you add it, which is ultimately gynergy, and you add it to the lap of Yitzhak, which is straight light, Yesod. This is the secret of the whole membrane, because see, now the klipa's cleaned off. Remember the first Abraham had klipa, right? Ishmael, Isaac had klipa, Esau, but it was only the lower, right? The head's redeemed. Without the 70 nations, the holy 70 nations, Adam has no form. The Nachash has no form. Adam has no form. That's what he lost. That's his beauty. Beauty. That's his Yavan. He lost the 7 sciences. He lost the 7. So we're going to not add the 7 back to the 613 to get 620? Come on, that's the very thing he lost. So we are going to return the 7 back. We got 620. Now we're dealing with Keter. Now we're dealing with the mind of a Reek and every one of these drawings we've ever looked at. And now the simple Peshat of the Nachash is going to gather from the east and west everything Adam needs. Of course. It's the original plan. It's never not changed. It's never not changed. This is the secret of the beauty of the 70 nations. Look at the buildings. Look at the women. This is the Greek. But he will dwell in the tents of Shem. Now, once this thing is redeemed, let's say this whole Nachash thing, okay? The evil Nachash is cut off. Klipa is cut off. The lower aspect of Esau cut off. We're back in the holy state. This is Leviathan. This is Dot. This is Leviathan. How do we know this in a Peshat? If you live in Texas, we have these things called rattlesnakes, right? And every year when they come out of their hibernation, they do what? Huh? They shed something.
Shed skin.
They shed their skin. They get rid of the klipa. That's noga. The skin, the outer membrane is noga. The noga is going to get rid of the 3D on a cosmic shed. Right? It's gonna do that. As below, so above. And that's what's happening. This whole thing is going through a shedding process. This is the new skin. The new ore. The ore. This is it. This is the new heaven, and this is the new earth. It gets rid of the skin of the klipa that Nachash has got on it. And it's not slave, it's servant. To its original form. Everything's got to go back. If it's not in the garden, it don't exist. God ain't making nothing new. He ain't changing the iteration for anybody. So we got to either get on board or get left behind or get shed. That's what's happening. Jeremiah 44. She will scream from one end of the earth to the other as a serpent. This is the travail the serpent is going through. This whole tearing its skin off, so to speak. Jeremiah 44 plainly says it. What is happening? It's the sine wave. It's the Shashua. It's the Ein Sof talking to the Or. Does the Ein Sof say to the Or, oh, we don't need that set. We don't need that skin. We don't need that outer covering. We don't need that. No, heaven forbid. It's speaking to its own Guvarot. We are Guvarot relative to the Jews, Hasidim. It's only trying to separate itself from itself so that it can rejoin. The problem is, we're still trying to separate ourselves from ourselves. Delaying Messiah. Keep delaying. The Rambam, the Shlaw, the Ari, hardly anybody talks about this section. This whole conversation. We've had 3 or 4 weeks of stuff in it, that has been revelatory. The 7 sciences is the 7 Noahides. It is Messiah ben Joseph that has been cut off. God forbid. We're cutting off redemption. God cannot make anything new. He's just trying to tell the same story. If you can't see the story is repeating, you're stuck in the backside. This is God's present, past, future. You can't look at it from the front. You can't look at it from the back. You have to view the whole thing sideways. It's the same story. So, in the Shema, we have the first verse. As we've talked about our cone, right? Figured out something. What happens when you pinch and pull something? We've always said it makes the point. It does make the point. But does it make a singular point or a point of duality? If I pinch this, okay, and you see a point here now and a point there. Mm-hmm. It's one thing. You see what I'm saying? So we have this Malchut. Now we have male and female all the way out here to us. Aren't the two supposed to be one? The dance of Hasidim and Guvarot? Messiah and David, Messiah and Joseph? Esau and Jacob? But no, we're still going, oh no, over here. Well, Brandon's going, no, there's a hole over here too. No, there's only a hole right here because that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at that over there. That's the whole problem. That's what everybody's arguing about. Whether we can or cannot do this or that. It's ridiculous. The reason you say the second verse low is because here doesn't exist. Only there does. And if you say the Shema, the first verse, you don't have to say the second verse. Because if you say the first verse, Echad, it's one, it includes the second verse. But since our father Jacob, or the Jews, Father Jacob said, the second verse, hey, it's kosher, say it. But he says it with a whisper because he's like, this is not real over here. It's only real from Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You see? Jacob knew this. You know? He knew the iteration. He knew Nachash. He knew the whole thing fell. He knew Nachash got contaminated. He knew the problem with his brother. He knew what he needed to do with Leah. He knew. Right? He knew. Right? So, he's not a fool. We are. We're being fooled. We have got to fix the unification, the upper unification of Keter with the lower unification of Malchut. If we keep dividing it, we're not saying it's one. We're not saying the whole thing is one. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's just not. But if you're talking in forums or talking with any of these people, just tell them, hey man, the first verse has 6 verses in it. That's Metatron. The second verse, Sandal phone. Has 6 verses in it. 6 and 6. So, beyond this point in 3D is the world of separation. The land of Edom, where the whole Esau and that whole thing has fallen out. As long as Esau knows he's in the inversion of Jacob, his Guvarot is the Tikkun. Hesed has to have Guvarot for stimulation. I'm going to say it like this. They need us. But we cannot get caught up in the klipa. In that. You see? We are the Guvarot that can get excited and holy Guvarot and be the servant to the Adam. That was Nachash and Eve's whole purpose and plan. That was the whole purpose and plan. All right, but when it falls out, and if you look at it in the fallout, you're going to come up with all kind of stuff. All right. Now, in the Zohar here, what is? Oh, there's 7 colors too. Main colors. Now, this is talking about. Oh, there's 7 chambers, 7 earths, 7 heavens. Oh, but we got to separate all that out, right? No. So, this is talking about when the convert dies. There are 7 chambers. Okay? Where does the convert go? Well, if he's Yesod energy, which it is, it's spinergy, it's Nachash energy, right? It's going to go to Yesod. And I'm going to read some of it, but let's just say that this first chamber was created with the likeness of above, spirit of Yesod within Malchut, and set in its place below to correspond to Bina. As have already been explained, the laws of the Garden of Eden states that all the aspects are exactly the same. All iterations the same. It's not visible to the eye because the essence of Malchut is stored deep within it. Thus it cannot be seen. The attribute of mercy can be seen, but only of the souls of the righteous. The souls exit in harmony, both upper and lower laws. I'm going to move on down. Those who reach Malchut within the chambers are the righteous, the ones who have not betrayed their master for other gods. They attain Malchut, as is implied by the phrase that says the secret of a virtuous woman is the crown of her husband. The secret of faith, namely Malchut, is that whoever maintains it should cleave to his master and always be in awe of him and never stray to the right or left. As we have explained, one must not follow other deities, which are termed a sinful woman. For this reason, that they may shield you from a foreign woman, from a stranger who flatters her with words. No one merits any of this except through Malchut. Hence, the stature of those righteous, of the ones who do merit, is very high. And it goes on to talk about all the shuros. This chamber is fixed in the secret of the divine form, which is Bina, because when the souls of the righteous leave this world, they depart to their own world. They enter those chambers of the lower Gan Eden. Each one remains there for as long as it is necessary for a soul to be there. In each and every chamber of the lower Gan, there are figures of the supernal form of Bina, and there are figures of the lower Malchut. Consequently, even if the soul is not extremely pure, is not entirely purified of its bodily qualities, it can enter and be there in the shape of Malchut, which is connected to the physical nature. The soul, which is the aspect of Bina, can also enter, as explained, be connected to Bina. Therein, in the Garden of Eden below, the soul is clothed with garments similar to those worn in the physical world, and it enjoys all the time it needs there. It enjoys the bliss of divine light in order to be entirely cleansed of its old physical nature, until such a time it can be elevated to its divine home. This means that until all the impurities of the physical body that were attached to the soul in the world dissipate, it cannot be elevated to its place in the supernal Gan as needs to be, for each soul is from Bina and must return to its source, which is the upper Gan. And with the new form of clothing the soul now wears, it is able to see divine entities from Bina and can thus glimpse at the glory of its master. This clothing is similar to the worldly garments, but also contains supernal forms from Bina, and therefore, through its form, the soul can strive to see other divine lights and behold the glory of its master. This chamber has visible supernal lights. The souls of the converts enter and stand there to behold the divine splendor. Here they are clad with one luminous garment that shines and yet shines not. What is a garment that shines yet shines not? That's Noga. It shines yet shines not. Right? Okay. That's the oscillation of Noga. When it's connected to the light, it's super shining. Mm-hmm. If it's connected over here to the darkness, it's no shining. Right? That's Noga.
That's no shining.
Right? So, here's what it is. With these lights in this chamber, the righteous are able to see and endow the souls of converts, enable them to enter inside and receive divine splendor after they have been dressed in this luminous garment that both shines and does not shine. The lights have two functions. One, the two functions which are one, to shine upon the worthy and to shine upon, in other words, to the darkness, the unworthy. The clothes bring them joy because they merit it and they are fit to receive it. How do you receive merit? The Zohar plainly says, when you study Torah, you receive merit. End of story. Torah trumps everything. The chamber is lined with precious stones and gold. Uh-oh, that sounds a whole lot like the little old Nachash thing we were just talking about. There is an opening that leads down to the gates of Gehenna. From there the convert looks at all the evil ones, the idol worshippers, those who have not converted and thus have not entered into the holy covenant. They are chased away by the angels of destruction and fire, and the convert sees this, rejoicing that they have converted and thus are spared such a harsh judgment. Studying Torah and you're connecting to Israel, you jump that hole. And you bask and you sewed with your Noga garment and you do your job. You are now in the whole Metatronic structure. Right? It's exactly the same thing we just covered. So, 3 times a day they are illuminated by divine light. Blessed by the lights of the top 3 skerot, which are drawn in the chamber. Above them resides Obadiah, the convert, and Onkelos, the convert. And other similar important converts. And, as has been explained regarding the chamber of the lower Gan, so too the lower Gan chamber of the upper Gan Eden. The soul ascends and adorns and is residing for a sufficient time in the lower Gan Eden, and it goes up. So, that seems to line up with everything we covered. Now, another thing Travis and I were talking this week, and he came up with a really cool find on the name. And you know, like we have the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey. If you look at in meditation, you know, we kind of visualize, and I do a lot of times, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, kind of see the letters floating around. But from the bottom up, if it's Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey from the top down, right? Mm-hmm. From the bottom up, David has Yud spelled in his name in certain spots. Okay? Joseph has Hey spelled in his name in certain spots. Jacob has the 5 vowels, we know, we've studied through that, right? And then Abraham has a Hey added to his name. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. As below, so above. Right? And we were studying this in meditation, talking about the whole sulam, this whole ladder, this whole spinergy thing. Right? And everything, the sulam's gematria is 130. Okay? We talk in here all the time about them going up to Atzilut and having this experience on Mount Sinai. Sinai's gematria is 130. All right? Now, Adam is separated from Hava for 130 years. Right? Jacob is before Pharaoh at age 130. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's and Travis, I'm gonna let him give a few more. He's done some research on this, but what we're seeing is it's just God's iteration. He's not coming up with anything new. It's the way the story's told. New players, same story, new players, same story, new players. It's just getting bigger and bigger, because he's expanding, contraction, expansion, contraction. And then at the very end, Leviathan, this whole feast of Leviathan is, the skin of Leviathan is salted for those to eat. And the snake's shedding his skin. And he's sporting with Leviathan. This is all it's doing. As soon as we go, game's up, They're not separating us anymore. We're not separating them anymore. Game's up. The gig's up. We know what you're doing, God. We have figured it out. Time jump. Time jump. Time jump. Time jump. So, Travis, if you have something on the deal you want to add,
I'm happy to throw in a couple of details if you like.
go ahead.
Well, I got linked into the studying the whole 130 years of separation, and within that I found a couple of other instances where 130 is mentioned. One of those examples would be 130 years within the Grecian exile. There were 130 years.
This whole Greek thing that we were talking about, Yvonne, the exile lasted 130 years.
And then you have the Yeshua that existed, Yeshu, that existed before Yeshu, 130 years, mentioned in Talmud. And then you have another Yeshua who existed another 130 years after Yeshu. And that's kind of an interesting detail. I'm not 100% sure what to do with it, however, I'm sure we'll sort of all find out together. But what was really cool about it is the 130 years that Adam is separated from Chava is intimately connected to Rapach, the 288 fallen spars, which is exceptionally exciting for, I'm certain, Mike personally, myself indefinitely, and probably everybody else there. And one of the connections, how I kind of found this connection, was sort of in a bizarre, roundabout, seven science kind of way, because amongst sort of the great sevens, we have 7 planets. So the 130 years that Adam is separated from Chava, he's separated. So I separated 130, I divided it by Havaya, and got an equal 5. And I thought that was really cool. In that, the orbit of Venus in Sefer Yetzirah, I can give you a citation on that if you like, a page number for anybody who's interested, but Venus is called Noga in Sefer Yetzirah. So that's very exciting in and of itself. With that said, if Russell, you care to bring it up on your phone, if you have the ability, or anybody who cares to, look and see the orbit of Venus is called the Rose of Venus. And the reason it's called the Rose of Venus is because how the orbit of Venus appears from Earth over however many years it takes Venus to orbit the sun, so to speak, it forms a rose pattern, which basically is this beautiful 5-pointed elliptical shape that's just really, really awesome. So what's really kind of cool about that is if we take a circle and we divide 360 by 5, what do we get? We get 72. And then if we add 72 to 72, we get 144. If we add 72 to 144, we get 216. And what's really cool about that is 72 is Chesed, and 216 is Gevurah.
Right.
So we have Chassidim and Gevurot present in this Noga concept, which is stemming from the 130 years that Adam is separated from Chava, dovetailing in this beautiful way with Rapach. How? If we take 216, which is the gematria of Gevurah, and we add another 72, we get 288.
Right.
Another 72 brings us full circle to 360 degrees. And I thought that this was incredible, especially considering that the Mishpar Katan, which is a short gematria of the word Noga, is 19. Chava, talking about rejoining Adam and Eve. And this is incredible with the nice Sud level midrash that Mike just gave regarding the Sulam and going up and down and Sinai and connecting those 130. So I think that there's a profound amount of information here that again ends up dovetailing with the next concept that's evolving in the mind of Rabbi Bax.
If you take 19 and put it on 26, that's 45. That is the light of Ma.
If you take 7 and divide it into 130, you get 18.
And if you that's the Chaya.
So that's, I mean, you get
Yeah.
the change left over,
Yeah.
but basically.
Here's the cool thing. Here's the cool thing about this. The cool thing about this, we can go all the way to planetary. We can go all the way to use the seven sciences. We can zoom in. We can zoom out. We can go outer space. It's too exact to be even made up.
Well,
It's too exact. You know, for somebody to say there's not a God. There's no way there's not, because the math doesn't lie. You know, the science literally proves the whole thing. You know, you have to have science and Torah, and those are the twin messiahs. And so here's the glory of the whole thing. If we know it, he knows it. The gig's up. And as soon as more people start knowing it, the faster the acceleration. You know? That's where we need to go. You got anything else you want to add on that?
Well, just hit Russell too with the 18th word in the Torah is merachefet, which is your mem tet, your mem tav, the death of the Rapach, 288. And we keep in mind that Venus, or the Noga, is represented by the first hour of Friday, interesting, and the Sephira of Netzach. It was just powerful, like you say.
Yeah.
The math adds up.
The math doesn't lie, and so I tell you, it's one of those things, and I hope that out of this parsha, where we can sit here and dissect that which is not dissectable, you know, and see what's going on today with in the Noahide world and the Ger world and everything. What is it? It's an iteration of the fall. Quit iterating the fall. Let it go. You know what I'm saying? Let it go. View it from before the fall, and you'll fix the fall. Right? Elevate it up. So, Torah is amazing, sages are amazing. We'll see you next week with whatever we come up with.